So you're trying to figure out this whole success thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What is it that helps some people just nail their goals?
While others are kind of left wondering what the secret is.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, is it just hard work?
Or is there something more to it?
Well, we're diving into this really interesting conversation today from Success Unfiltered.
Oh, I like them.
Yeah, they always have really interesting takes.
Yeah.
And Alex and Sarah, the two voices you hear on that show, really get into some thought-provoking stuff about this whole hard work success equation.
You know what I find fascinating about this whole topic is how much emphasis people put on the hustle harder mentality.
Oh, yeah, like just grind, grind, grind.
Exactly. And this conversation really challenges that idea.
It's not just about working yourself to the bone.
It's more about working smarter, not harder.
Working smarter, not harder. I love that.
Great.
Okay, so they jump right into this whole idea of busyness versus productivity.
Oh, this is so important.
I know, right? Because we've all been there, right? You've got that mountain of to-do lists.
Yeah.
You're running around like crazy, checking things off.
Feeling super productive.
But are you actually making any real progress?
That's the key question.
And Sarah makes this really brilliant point about this.
What's that?
It's so easy to get caught up in the whirlwind of just doing, doing, doing.
Right. Just constantly being on the go.
Without actually stopping to ask yourself.
Wait a minute. Am I even working on the right things?
Mhm.
Like, is this actually getting me closer to where I want to be?
It's like running in circles.
You're putting in all this effort,
You're exhausted.
but you're not actually going anywhere.
You just kind of stuck.
It's the worst.
So how do we break free from that cycle?
Well, that's where intentionality comes in.
Okay, I like that intentionality.
Okay.
What does that actually look like in practice?
It's about being really deliberate with your actions
Okay, so choosing to focus your energy.
on the tasks that will actually move the needle.
Not just any task, but the right tasks.
Exactly the ones that are actually going to make a difference.
And that brings us to this whole concept of sustainable success.
Oh, yeah, this is huge.
It's not about burning yourself out in a blaze of glory.
Right. It's about finding a pace that you can maintain for the long haul.
I love that metaphor, the long haul.
Yeah, because success is a marathon, not a sprint, right?
It's so true.
Have you ever gone all in on something only to completely burn out after a few weeks?
Oh my gosh, all the time.
Right.
Like, I remember when I was, actually, you know what? Let's save that story for later.
Okay, sounds good.
But you're totally right. It's about pacing yourself,
It's about finding that sweet spot where you're working hard.
but not so hard that you completely fizzle out.
Exactly. You
Yeah.
gotta find that balance.
And that's where this concept of smart work comes in.
Yeah, Alex talked about that.
It's about working smarter, not just harder,
So it's not just about the sheer amount of effort you're putting in.
but also about the strategy behind it.
Right. It's about making sure that your effort is actually translating into results.
Okay, so how do we actually put that into practice?
How do we work smarter?
What does that look like in the real world?
Well, I remember this one time I was working on this super complex research project.
Oh, I bet.
And it would have been really easy to just dive right in and start analyzing all the data.
Right, just get lost in the weeds.
Exactly. But instead, I decided to take a step back.
Yeah.
And I spent an entire day just wrapping my head around the problem itself.
Oh, interesting.
Like really understanding the nuances of what I was dealing with.
So you took the time to really define the problem.
Yeah, and figure out the most targeted approach.
Instead of just jumping into solutions.
Exactly. And you know what? That one day of smart work,
Yeah.
it saved me weeks of potential dead ends down the line.
Wow. So you're saying that taking that time up front to strategize,
It can actually save you time in the long run.
because you're not wasting effort on things that aren't actually going to get you closer to your goal.
Exactly. It's all about being strategic with your time and energy.
Yeah, it's like that saying,
What's that?
measure twice, cut once.
Oh, yeah, totally.
If you take the time to really plan things out.
You'll save yourself a lot of headaches later on.
Exactly. And it's not always about those big dramatic actions either.
Sometimes it's the small, everyday things,
Oh yeah, for sure.
like just optimizing your workflow a little bit.
Finding ways to be more efficient.
Even if it's just shaving off a few minutes here and there.
It all adds up.
Really.
Absolutely.
But you know, another thing that really struck me from this conversation
What's that?
was this whole idea of unseen efforts.
Oh yeah, the stuff that nobody sees.
Exactly. Like Sarah brings up this great point about social media.
It's all highlight reels.
I know, right?
Everyone's just showing their wins.
Nobody posts about the late nights, the setbacks, the countless hours of work that go into those wins.
It's like that old saying, the overnight success that took a decade to build.
Oh, I love that one.
Right.
Because it's so true.
It is.
We only see the tip of the iceberg.
Exactly.
And I think that's something we all struggle with. Definitely.
Especially in today's world where everything is so instant.
It's easy to get caught up in that comparison game.
Oh, yeah, totally.
And start feeling like we're not doing enough or that we're not good enough.
Because we're comparing our behind the scenes
to everyone else's highlight reel.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it's so important to remember that everyone's journey is different.
Absolutely. What looks like effortless success from the outside is often the result of years of hard work, dedication, and setbacks.
And let's not forget the lessons learned along the way.
Oh, yeah, those are huge.
You know, I remember when I was working on this one project.
Yeah.
And it just felt like a complete flop at the time.
Oh, no.
Like I put so much time and energy into it.
You poured your heart and soul into it.
I did. And then
what happened?
And then what happened?
It just kind of went nowhere.
Oh, man. That's tough.
But you know what? The skills I learned during that process, they ended up being so valuable later on.
Really?
Yeah, like I used them to
really make a breakthrough on a completely different project.
Wow. So even though that one project felt like a failure.
It wasn't a waste.
It
was all part of the journey.
Sometimes those connections are hard to see in the moment.
They really are.
But they're always there shaping our paths in ways we don't even realize.
I love that.
Me too. It's like those hidden connections are what make the journey so interesting.
Totally. And it really highlights why it's so important to embrace failure.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Because it's not the opposite of success. It's part of the process.
It's like those setbacks and stumbles.
You're stepping stones.
They are.
Remember how we were talking about feeling intimidated by all those success stories out there?
Oh, yeah. Like everyone else has it all figured out.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But Alex and Sarah remind us that failure is just part of the game.
It's not about avoiding failure. It's about learning from it.
And using those lessons to propel yourself forward.
Right. Like how do you bounce back from those setbacks?
And that's what resilience is all about, right?
Exactly. It's about being able to adapt to challenges and keep going.
Don't give up.
Exactly.
Which brings us to another really powerful idea. You talked about grit.
Oh, yeah, grit. That's a big one.
It's that ability to stick with your goals.
Even when you feel like giving up.
When things get tough, when you face obstacles.
It's about playing the long game.
Right, totally. Because you know that feeling you get when you finally achieve something you've been working towards?
Yeah.
That sense of accomplishment.
Like you earned it.
You didn't give up. You pushed through.
That feeling is so much more satisfying than any quick win.
It's the best feeling, right?
It really is.
So we've talked about smart work, unseen efforts, embracing failure, grit.
It's a lot to wrap your head around.
It is.
Yeah.
But there's one more piece of the puzzle that really resonated with me.
Okay, what's that?
Alex said there's no one-size-fits-all formula for success.
Oh, man, that's so true.
It's not like there's this magic recipe.
If you do this, this, and this, you're guaranteed success.
Yeah, it's not like that at all.
It's more about finding your own path.
Your own unique way of doing things.
And that takes a lot of self-awareness.
It does, and experimentation.
Trying things out, seeing what works for you.
And being willing to learn from your mistakes.
Because you're going to make mistakes.
We all do. It's part of the process.
Exactly.
And, you know, that brings us to Sarah's final message, which I think is the perfect note to end on.
What's that?
Focus on progress, not perfection.
Oh, I love that.
It's so easy to get caught up in trying to be perfect.
To get everything exactly right.
But that can actually hold you back.
It can paralyze you.
Exactly. So instead of striving for perfection,
aim for progress.
Celebrate those small wins along the way.
Every step forward, no matter how small, is still a step in the right direction.
And you know, this whole conversation has really got me thinking about how we define success.
It's such a personal thing.
It is, right? Is it about external validation?
Like getting recognition from others?
Or is it about something deeper?
Finding fulfillment in the journey itself.
Maybe it's about those small victories along the way.
And the lessons we learn.
The growth, the resilience, the constant learning process.
What do you think?
I think that's something we all need to figure out for ourselves.
It's an ongoing journey.
It really is. And on that note,
we'll
wrap up this deep dive.
It's been quite a journey.
It has. Until next time.
See you later.